Hello everybody, I'm Sire Sasa and this is my response video to Federico Malagutti and his video Spear and Shield, why we are probably doing it wrong. Federico's video is related to the age-old debate of spear use in one hand, whether it will be used in overhand or underhand manner. He has some interesting ideas, but I don't fully agree with him, so that's why I made this video. What Federico starts with is that the spear, which is somewhat tip heavy because it has the metal on the tip end, of course, even though the shaft will be tapered, it is tip heavy. And he says that it's difficult to control the spear by using it like this. He demonstrates somewhat exaggeratedly that the spear wants to go downwards. Now I don't agree with this. This is the same thing that Lindibase often does exaggeratedly to show that this is not a good stance of using the spear. But you have to open your hand a bit. Let me take off my mitten so you can see. I cannot hold the spear with my fist. I have to open the fingers a bit so I can thrust straight forward like this. I can even do a sliding thrust and then return the spear. And this can be pretty accurate. If you put your spear behind your neck, you can do something like this. And it can be accurate, but it needs some practice. Now, some reenactors might think that the spear is best used in two hands, like this or like this. Now of course you get more accuracy and more power by using it with two hands like this. If you want to use it with a shield, Federico came up with this solution to substitute the left hand with the top of the shield. So he uses it like this. This is possible to do, but in my opinion this is not a very good technique of spear use. If you use your shield and spear like this, then you cannot move your spear all around and you cannot move your shield all around. You are restricted in your movements of both of your arms to just here. So you can do this. You can strike it different targets. Yes, this might be possible, but it's highly restricting. If you are not restricting yourself to this combination, then you can use these weapons independently of each other. I think this issue also boils down to the question of reach. Now many people who like to use the underarm or underhand grip think that it gives you more reach than the upper hand, but this is simply not true. If I touch my opponent here, okay, I remove my mitten again to get better grip of the spear. I grab the spear here, I touch my opponent. If I change the grip, I touch my opponent. I stand still. From the very end, overhand, underhand. Of course, I cannot hold the spear here for a very long time, but this is not the way to hold the spear either. If I hold the spear here, my opponent does this and I lose. So I don't hold the spear from the butt end. I hold it near the point of balance here. Here I can fight, or here. Then I can do a sliding thrust like this and return the spear to the point of balance where it is the lightest to hold. The same works with the underhand. I can do sliding thrust and then return. In here I wouldn't either hold the spear from the butt end because it tires my arm very quickly. So there is not really any difference between the reach of the underhand and the overhand, but you just need some practice to get used to using it like this. And when people think they need to hold their spear like this and it's too hard for them to use it, then they might want to use the shield as a leverage kind of substitute for the second hand. I could do this, but my opponent has the same ability to strike my spear to the side with his spear block. Do it. And now I lose again because I'm in a serious disadvantage. I would have to do something to counter. This takes too much time. If I miss my first stab, I cannot return the spear to the good position in time. The next point, blocking, becomes also very hard with a shield. If I use the spear here, the spear rests on my shield. The shield becomes much heavier and slower to block incoming thrusts. If my opponent does this, and I use my spear like this, then he has a hard time of blocking the spear thrust coming to his face. I'm going to thrust you to your mask and you just want to raise your shield to block it. It becomes quite hard, and he of course blocks his view at this point. So as you saw, I did one feint like this to make his raise his shield and then stabbed again. It's easy to do because he's covering his eyesight and then lowering his shield back again. Now, as we like to do, we like to keep the shield separate from the spear. So he has more options. If you just try to do the same with the shield now, let's see if it's any easier. You see, it's much easier, isn't it?
Yep.
The next thing, he can also block with the spear now. If you just block with the standard spear block, which is this. Can I do a light throw?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did it hit?
It hit the shield.
Yeah.
What was easier, to block with the shield or to block with the spear?
Well, of course, the shield, because it's much faster. I can do it, and it's not risky because I'm behind it. But still, comparing, I have much more time to do it than if I have my spear here to slow it down.
Exactly. Let's try one more thing. If you try to block with the spear, holding it quite far here, trying to block like this, I'm doing light thrusts.
Nope.
It becomes very dangerous to you.
Only in the reflexes. If you do this, then if you are fast enough, you might do it.
As we can see, this is bad for blocking because it reduces your abilities of both the spear and shield use. So I recommend of never doing that, but using it separately, like this. Then you have the option of blocking with the shield or blocking with the spear. And then another shield block, which is when you hold the shield here and do this. This is also a good shield block. It doesn't cover your eyesight at all, unlike this does, so I think it's actually better. The other thing why it's better is you can block further away from your own face and body. This blocks here, this blocks here. There's a half a meter distance. So if you hold your shield like this, I try to stab your face. Let's go the other way around so the shield doesn't block the view. I try to stab your face and you block with the shield like this. It's much harder again. Federico says that when you use your shield here and spear here, it gives you more preciseness for the spear and more balance and more protectiveness to your body when your shield is here. But I would argue otherwise. I think the shield protects you even more when you hold it further away from your own body, like this. And the spear is much more precise when you can do this without holding it here. And especially it's much more agile and fast compared to this.
And it protects more your hand.
What?
It protects more your hand if you...
By this, Lauri means that if you keep your shield close to your body all the time, you have to extend your weapon arm in front of it, where it is vulnerable to strikes from your opponent. But if you extend the shield edge forward, you can cover your weapon arm with it too.
Next thing, Federico acknowledges himself that most of the shields in history that have been used in conjunction with the spear do not have a flat top where this would even be possible. He uses the heater shield, so it is possible to use this, but most of the shields were not shaped like this that were used with the spears. We will demonstrate. I would argue most of the shields in history have been round or oval or roundish in shape. The triangular shields are really an exception in the European Middle Ages. So these are much more common to be used with a shield. Now this same technique becomes much harder because the spear wants to slip to the side if you're using it from the quite near the end. With a round-topped shield, I think this is so much harder than with a flat-topped shield that it becomes completely unfeasible. So I would discard that completely. But what Federico thinks is that when you are in formation, if you go to my right side, and we do this kind of shield wall, then the round shields, they form natural indentations here where you can use your spear like this. But first, one other point of shields. Some circular shields that were used with the spears were flat like these Viking Age shield replicas. But many shields were not flat at all, and then this technique becomes also impossible. We will show you. Many shields that were used with spears in history were curved like these Roman scuta. Also curved were the teardrop shaped kite shields that the Normans and others used in the late Iron Age, early Middle Ages, and many other shields. They were curved and not flat. And now we cannot make a shield wall like this. We have to be here so we have space to fight. And then there is no, it's not possible to keep the spear here because it just doesn't stay there. It's impossible to do. So this doesn't work with any of the shields that have any curvature to them. The shields would need to be all flat. Now we have the flat shields again and we make the shield wall formation. Now there is an indentation that I could use the spear from, like this. But it makes both my shield and my friend's shield here to move somewhat uncontrollably. And we don't want this. It also severely limits the shield use once again. In any case, we don't have much historical evidence of shield walls with locked shields like this. Reenactors often do this, especially Viking Age reenactors, but this is quite a modern reenactorism in my opinion. We have insufficient evidence that they would have fought in a shield wall with locked shields like this. Shield wall that has been used, the word, it can be just a poetic license. It can mean a line of warriors that are here. It doesn't mean that they have to be forming this kind of overlapping shield wall formation. If we are not that close to each other, we have more space to use our spears, and if we are not reducing our spear use to this one poking motion, we have much more agility and much more targets that we can hit with our spears. Furthermore, we can also move our shield to the sides, down, up. We can open it a bit so we can again block with our shields even better than like this. We can demonstrate again. If you hold your shield like this and block to the face, it's possible, but sometimes I get there. Now if you hold your shield further away from your body, it's again possible to do that, and in many situations I think this is a better block than this is.
Less move.
Huh?
Less move. You move. If you do this, you do much more moving, and you can just do it small.
Yes,
Boom.
the movement is smaller. Your arm doesn't need to do this all the time. This is tiring movement. This is less tiring movement. This also covers your view again. So if you hold your spear like this, I thrust here, then I can change the target somewhere else and you cannot see. Now if you hold your spear like this, it's easier for you to notice what I'm doing and to block it. Now some points about fighting with spears in formation. If we are in formation, if we change the sides, and I have to take into consideration the people behind me. Now this is one of the main advantages of the overhand grip, because I like to use, as they show in historical pictures, the spear here in the overhand grip close to the 45-degree angle. It is angled, it is not level. If I hold it level, it tangles to the spears and can hit the person behind me. I need to keep it in an angle, but here I can thrust straight forward and return it to here. Also, that would be very bad in the underhand, because again I hit the person behind me. I don't want this to happen. So I'm using it here. And this is what they show in most historical pictures, both in ancient art and in modern period photographs of native warriors. They use their spear in an overhand grip close to this angle, shield in front. The shield can be in a little bit different positions. Depends on the time period and culture, shape of the shield and your armament. If we are here and forming the shield wall and holding the spear near the end, the spear is quite level. It cannot be in the angle, otherwise I thrust to the ground. It's here. This would also, it could mess with the people behind me. Otherwise I have to keep it very near the end and it becomes almost impossible to use from here.
And it's getting very heavy.
Yeah, it's very tiring and very heavy.
Especially when you're using this kind of shield, you're just...
The center grip shield.
Yeah, you don't have any ladders to hold it. It's much heavier to use it like this than...
Yeah, comparing to the heater shield that is strapped to your forearm, these center gripped shields, that most shields in history were center gripped, it's also harder to keep it here because it's heavier. It's further away from your body and it's only held in your fist. Then the blocking with spear like that, even if you have the counterweight here, it's almost impossible to block with just a spear. And even if you manage to block, now you didn't, even if you manage to block, your spear is in a bad position for doing anything else. Much better to hold the spear near the point of balance and the shield moving freely compared to the spear. So you have much more options to... Okay, if you hold the spear near the point of balance of your spear and you rest it on the shield, then you block.
It's still the same.
Oi. Sorry, I hit your hand. Still the same, it's a bad block.
And now you see how accurate it can be. It hits so accurate in my hand.
It's much better to block with the combination of your spear and shield. You can change this, you can decide how you like to block. You can block. You can block in many ways, as you saw. We still want to try if I can use this technique in a sparring match with any success. Now I'm trying to use this as much as possible and my opponent is free to do whatever. We are mainly targeting the masks, of course, but let's start. Let's stop for a while.
Let's do the opposite.
It somewhat works. I can do something with this. I can hold the spear very near the end and try to keep my opponent far away. But if they block my spear to the side, I'm in a complete disadvantage situation. They can close to me very easily. And during the whole time I felt a serious disadvantage by restricting myself using this technique only.
Let's try the opposite way so you can feel how it's be the much more advantage.
Yes, I was quite afraid many times when you blocked my spear to the side and it fell off here. I needed to block like this. Also many times I blocked my view, which I don't like in a fight. Now let's switch the roles. You use the spear like this and I can do whatever I like. And let's start. Okay, is this enough? How did it feel?
Only safe thing when you are far enough and I can just poke, don't come any closer.
Try to keep the distance.
Yeah, but
immediately if I do this,
if I have to do this, what the hell I can do now? I have to be very reachable guy, and it's yeah, and if it's even slightly side, I can't do nothing.
Exactly. So we both felt that using this is very disadvantageous compared to when you can move the spear and shield freely around. And now I have some friends here so we can make the oblique line. Everybody come here and we make a locked shield wall formation. Let's lock the shield and have the spears here. We need to make the shield like this. Yes. Now, the rightmost person obviously cannot do this because I don't have any invitation between the shields here, so I need to do something else completely. As soon as somebody dies from here, then there is a hole of your spear drops to the ground already. Or you have to concentrate on that. But we can try this if we can do some stabbing. Let's go. What do you think? Is this usable?
This feels fucking stupid.
Yeah, I missed it. But for the sake of the argument, let's have a fight that we have 3 people there and 2 people here. I'm going to take a mask. And we will fight. Everybody using the spears in the overhand for the sake of the argument that you try to press your spear on your shield, and we are free to use our spears and shields. Take a few steps forward. So, and let's start. Okay. Let's take another try because this is fun. Again.
I can say it's really not fun being on this side.
I'm enjoying this, so let's do the best. What is your opinion of this?
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I can't defend. Like as soon as I strike and you move it slightly,
Yeah.
to throw this back is impossible.
No, I did something very unfair. I was flanked and they immediately crumbled. My battle is unfair, so I'm having nothing about it.
Let's do one more without any flanking. Let's imagine we have 1,000 guys on all sides, so we can all go forward and backward.
Okay, let's go.
And once more. Okay.
Before it ended, what happened?
Especially for me, if we are doing it to like, the very end, being on the side and trying to hold it.
I just trying to believe, put like a spears automatically push that way because our shields aren't mine, they're offset a little.
Yeah, so it's difficult to do straight forward fast.
Yeah, this way. And as soon as,
And then
I hit someone's shield.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say that it doesn't work. For the fun of it, everybody does this spear sliding. Let me put on the mask.
Koska tässä on todella vaara, että se tulee
Yeah. Let's start.
Tää ei oo muuta kuin sokerin tottelua. Mä oon onko siellä joku tällä kertaa?
Both of the shield walls raised higher and higher and only the same. This is fun. Okay, let's do it again.
Sure.
Okay. Once more. Then we're done. Start. What's the camera?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, this was impossible. Well, I think this was
really count.
Federico asked about people's opinions who have been in Greece doing Greek reenactment, and me and Lauri, we have been there a couple of times in the Plataea events. Those events were really cool, but we did not do a lot of fighting there, but we did some. Now we have these shields and we can test these techniques with Greek shields also, if they would be in any way feasible with them. First, the spear slips easily away from the top of the shield, so this is really awkward with a singular shield, but let's test it in a shield wall formation. Now our shields overlap, so Lauri can put his spear between them and try the technique.
Oh no, this is very bad. If you come to my other side. In the first stab you did, my shield moved like this and actually hit me to the chin a bit. Now I try to do it here.
Try it again. Mä nojaan tota.
How did it feel?
Different. So this auspice you can actually get a little bit, and you put it like this.
Yeah, you can support it with your
Support it.
shoulder and your leg.
So it's easier than a Viking shield, but still it feels a little bit weird.
Let's try it one more time the other way around, because I didn't like it at all. Try to trace it now.
So it's stable, yes, bit.
It's more stable than the center grip shields, which started to move in this direction. This started to move in this direction. That can be countered by locking it against your shoulder and thigh. But I wouldn't actually like to block the shield here, because I cannot protect my face anymore if you have your shield and spear there. How can I protect my face? I can do it with the spear, but with the shield...
I'll be back. Like.
Yeah, if the spear is here, it's impossible to block. And if the shield is supported on the shoulder, it's impossible to... almost impossible to block with the shield. I would keep it away from my body to be able to do this. And now, if we look at ancient Greek sources, the pictorial sources from the vases, for example, we see a few different ways of holding the shield. One of the most common is with a straight arm forward like this. The edge is forward, just the same way as I like to use my Viking Age round shield. This is one of the most common. It doesn't block the view, you have a lot of space to fight. It protects me pretty well. If you try to stab my torso, I can just do this and counter-attack. It's easy to block the head also if you target my head. Again, like this. And it protects the leg. If you try to hit my thigh. Once more. Oh no. The shield rim broke. It's okay. It protected my leg. I can fix it. The picture of the reenactors that we actually met in Greece, that you showed in the video, Federico, they held their shields against their thigh, like this. And you concluded from that the lower thigh is a good target. The thigh in general is a good target for the spear in a Greek context. But when you are holding the shield a little bit away from your body, which is another thing they show a lot in period art, it protects the thigh. I cannot reach the thigh at all. It's impossible. So by not doing this, but keeping the shield away from your legs, it protects the legs very well. It's no way possible to hit the thigh. The shin is protected by a greave. The third way of holding the shield is like this, with a straight arm, but shield facing forward like this. You also see this represented in art time and time again. This does the same thing as this does. It protects the leg. It's not possible to hit the thigh anymore. It leaves the head a bit more open. I would have to block with the spear. Like this. But these are the three most common ways of holding the Greek shield. So, with straight arm forward, straight arm shield facing forward, and in an angle like this. The angle can vary, of course. And with this, there is some variation like this.
Federico mentions the interesting Boiotian shields, which are Greek shields that have cutouts in the right and left side of the shield. We don't actually know if these shields existed or not. Were they just an artistic motif deriving from earlier times? Nobody knows for sure. But possibly they could have existed. All our information regarding those shields comes from Greek art, mainly vase paintings. And at the vases and in other art, these shields are used in exactly the same manner as are these Argive shields or hoplite shields. So they are either held with a straight arm shield edge forward, or they are held with straight arm the shield facing forward. They are never held in front of the body in a way that the indentation would be at the top, allowing the use of the spear through the hole. Because I don't have a Boiotian shield, unfortunately, I cannot show you its use, but I do have this crescent-shaped shield called pelte. This is really not a line-fighting shield because it's so small. It was used by javelin-throwing light infantry named peltasts after the shield. I'm demonstrating with it now because it has the same kind of indentation than the Boiotian shield does, only on one side. I'm trying if this sliding technique could work with it, because the spear will not fall off the top of the shield. Well, I don't like this. The shield is strapped to my arm like we see in period art, and it tends to move a lot forwards and backwards as I thrust with my spear. I wouldn't consider this a good technique with a shield strapped like this. And as with the Boiotian shield, there is no evidence that the pelte and the spear were used like this. Peltae are mostly used as side shields for javelin throwers, but when they are used in melee combat, they are used separately from the spear. There is one peculiar vase image that I know which could possibly be interpreted to depict this kind of strike, but it looks like the spear is coming from behind the head of the fighter. I think it is just a mistake of the artist, because this is not a viable way of fighting. Maybe there's a slight possibility that the vase painter meant this kind of strike being done from the left side of the head with a spear, and depicted the spear coming from behind the head by mistake. But I don't really know. Or then, the Achilles strike from Troy is actually real. This was a joke. Now we need to talk a bit about sources. To my knowledge, there isn't any evidence that the one-handed spear would ever have been used, rested on the shield, in any period of European history. It is not mentioned in any of the surviving fighting treatises from the Middle Ages or the early modern period. Since none of them deal with a triangular shield anyway, that was expected. Also, the pictorial record doesn't support this idea. Neither pictures from the ancient, nor medieval or early modern periods show the spear rested on the shield like this. This is true for both single and formation fighters, and with all types of shields, also those with indentations, such as the Boiotian shield and the crescent-shaped pelte. The closest thing to this idea I've managed to find comes from Hans Stahlhofer's Fechtbuch, more precisely, the mounted fencing section of the Württemberg Treatise from 1467. Here we see the horseman on the right resting his lance on his left bicep. He doesn't have a shield obviously, but the weapon could technically be rested on the shield too. Talhofer has written on top of the left mounted crossbowman. Here this one means to receive the one on the right with the lance. And on top of the lancer, just so should one with a lance behave against one with a crossbow. I talked about this with my HEMA teacher friend and we thought that Talhofer has meant this as a protective stance against a crossbow. Because the lancer doesn't have a shield, he uses his arm and lance to cover his face, the top of his head being protected by a helmet. This position could give some protection against a crossbow bolt to the head, while the arm could also be used as a support for a lance thrust to the left. This differs much from what Federico suggested though. It is a mounted technique, it's described being used against a crossbow, not against other spears. It also doesn't utilize a shield. Talhofer doesn't say anything about thrusting from this position, so it's only guesswork. Turning the horse around is slower than turning oneself on foot, because the whole horse has to turn. It might be too slow in case of a horseman is suddenly being attacked from the side, thus he has two options of using his lance. If he wants to keep the lance in the underhand couched position which supports the weight of the weapon, he needs to twist his upper body 90 degrees left or right to be able to thrust sideways. This can be done, but it lacks some power compared to fighting forward. Another option would be to fight with a lance in the overhand grip, which was often done before the late Middle Ages when lances became quite heavy. The heavy lance is really made for being used in the couched position, so it's difficult to use overhand without losing reach. Talhofer doesn't show overhand though, but a kind of high underhand. In any case it would be difficult to use, but supporting the lance on the left arm makes the technique feasible. I could still quickly mention another type of shield called rentarche, which was used both in tournaments and warfare in the late Middle Ages. It has a hole in its upper right corner which was used for supporting the weight of the lance. This is a technique for couched lance use on horseback, very still and not agile. The shield practically plays the part of a lance rest. There is also a fighting treatise, the Baumann-Fechtbuch, which has its fighters using these shields in foot combat tournaments with spears and swords, but they don't utilize the hole in the shield for supporting the spear. None of these sources have the actual technique Federico suggested though. With all this being said, I have managed to find something which seems to be quite close to his idea, although not exactly. And it doesn't come from Europe. The nomadic Beja tribe living in the eastern desert of Africa had these smallish round shields made of hide, fitted with center grips and shield bosses and having holes in their edges which could be used for supporting the spear. I've seen these two photographs where the holes are used for exactly that. I don't know anything about the fighting styles of the Beja, but the original caption of the photo from the Nile expedition of 1884 reads, "A friendly chief demonstrating native way of throwing a spear." So it seems that these shields were indeed used for supporting the spear, at least in the act of throwing it. During a thrusting spear fight, I would not want to lock my spear together with a shield like that, but this is something I'd like to try out later, now I don't have a shield with indentations for the spear. And this is really all I have to say about the subject for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.